started stuttering when I was somewhere around age 5. I don't actually remember the physical act of stuttering or anything, but as a child, but I do remember struggling with my speech, even at a quite young age, and I hated all forms of public speaking from there as well. Just I was first taken to speech therapy when I was around 10 years old. This went on for a few years, but if I'm honest, it didn't actually do a huge amount of good. I didn't really get any better, and the actual therapy didn't have a huge effect on my stutter. I expect this probably wasn't helped by the lack of demand on my speaking ability at the time, because yes, I did find stuttering to be very embarrassing, and it did cause me a great deal of anxiety, but I was always able to struggle through, and I was fine on a day-to-day basis. So due to this, it largely prevented any serious effort on my part to improve. I was also a covert stutterer as well, so although people around me definitely knew I had a stammer, they didn't really realize how extensive the issue was, or how much it affected me mentally, I'd say, as well. This continued throughout school, where I, instead of improving my speech, just became a master of avoiding situations. So be that by acting sick every time I was expected to make a public speech, or by finding any other way I could to get out of the public speaking. Sometimes my luck did run out, which would lead to embarrassment for both myself and the teacher, but normally they'd be so embarrassed by it as well, they wouldn't ask me to public speak again, so it took away even more future public speaking requests. Looking back, I am amazed to consider how rarely I was actually required to publicly speak at school. I think this is likely to be in direct contrast to many of your upbringings, especially in America, I expect, which maybe explains some of my fellow countrymen's shyness. This now seems absolutely crazy to me, of how fundamental public speaking is to a successful career in social life. After university, the requirements on my speech increased exponentially. I suddenly found that being unable to express myself was no longer just an embarrassment, but was actually a career and life limiting for me as well. I work for a global company, and I'm regularly expected to speak and network with colleagues and clients from all around the world. And what I found was I've never actually met a single other person in my line of work who stutters, even though it said 1% of the population are said to stutter, which I found very lonely, and didn't bode as good evidence for my future either. I found I started to dread going to work whenever I was expected to speak, which was most days, and the stakes had now been turned up ever higher. So no longer was the worst case scenario just a bit of light embarrassment. It was now possible that I was not able to deliver what I needed to say, and no one was able to step in and fill in what I'd left unsaid. I also found the lifetime of avoiding public speaking was probably unsurprisingly catching up with me. I rushed through speeches and generally didn't have a huge amount of confidence in what I had to say. And this increased my anxiety and the number of bad incidents I was having day by day. It was around this time in 2018 that I stumbled on Lee's book, I was literally just Googling stuttering, and it came up on Amazon. While reading, I was amazed by these new ideas of self-hypnosis or suggestion and mind training, which I'd never heard of any of them before. I started Skyping with Lee shortly after, and was just amazed that Lee was willing to give up his time to help a guy on the other side of the world who he didn't know. I wish I could say I was one of those students who were cured in a few months, but that just wasn't the case at all. I had a hiatus from coaching for a year when my job became unmanageable, and but I did resume back in 2019 at the end with the help of Javier as well. It was around this time I started to put all my energy into following Lee's method, and things started to click. I found I started speaking in stressful situations with confidence, and even if I wasn't feeling confident on the inside, I found that I started projecting it more, and my instances started reducing week on week until I became a PWSS. I find I still have the avoidance instincts, and they arise automatically when stress situations arise. For example, if I'm at work and I'm given a new opportunity to do something, I find I automatically start considering how much public speaking there is to do, and which starts to put me off, etc. So I've since been starting to try to work to do the exact opposite to that, and force myself more into these situations and opportunities. So now if an opportunity arises that requires lots of speaking, I go for it rather than shying away. I haven't got to the point where I love to speak yet, but I would say I find speaking a much easier act, and it's also interesting to me. I think that it took an environment where I couldn't manage with my stutter anymore to take full responsibility and follow Lee's methods. So a big thank you to Lee and Javier as well for all their help as well, and thank you to everyone for listening.